2021, Hyundai released the striking Ioniq 5, its first major ground-up electric crossover. A year later, they followed it with the outrageous Ioniq 6, this time in a saloon body style. And today, at a secret location in California, Hyundai are back with the latest addition to its Ioniq lineup, the Ioniq 9.
And here it is. Fascinating, isn't it? Where most manufacturers go down this kind of Russian doll design philosophy path where all their cars look like different sized versions of each other, this looks nothing like the 5 or like the 6. I mean, it's massive for a start, but also it's intriguing to look at. Okay, let's get the basics out the way.
The Ioniq 9 is roughly the same size as the Kia EV9, which sits on the same eGMP platform. Like that car, it offers space inside for up to 7 passengers with a variety of seating configurations, but unlike that car, it offers a bigger 110.3 kilowatt-hour battery and a longer expected range of up to 385 miles.
And those 3 factors, the size, the configurability, and the range, are all going to come together to make this, in theory, a very compelling proposition for families. But is it a compelling proposition from a design perspective? My first instinct is to say yes. Okay, it's unique in its own way, but it does have a lot of that Ioniq DNA, including a lot of use of parametric pixels, dots absolutely everywhere, including behind this kind of plastic panel at the front. That worries me slightly, actually, because it isn't afforded much protection from a big bumper, and I wonder how soon it will be before someone smashes into that. But again, pixels everywhere, including for the high beams and low beams, for the indicators, for the day running lights, and for the light bar. Funny story about the light bar, actually. In the UK and Europe, we're not gonna get it. Only Americans will get it, and apparently that's down to pedestrian safety standards. Apparently in the UK, if you get hit by a car with a light bar, you stand a much higher chance of being horribly injured than if you get hit by a car that doesn't have a light bar. Americans apparently don't care about pedestrians, so it's installed on all their cars.
In profile, the Ioniq 9 has wheels up to 21 inches in size, with chunky, squared-off wheel arches that contain some curious extra detail inside. On top-spec cars, these are body-colored, but they actually look far better, in my opinion, when spec'd with the wheel arches in contrasting black. Where European models lack the light bar, we still do at least get some parametric pixels. And unlike our US counterparts, we do get optional digital mirrors, which should help reduce drag.
At the back, again, very striking. Do you know what I'm getting? I'm getting hints of Volvo XC90 here, especially with the way it kicks out at the edges, maybe a little splash of Land Rover. Just me? Either way, no bad thing. I also love the fact that the Ioniq badge is flush with the tailgate. There's a little insect there. That's quite cute. He likes it as well. And then up here, you've got more parametric pixels. These are your high-level brake lights. That is going to look sensational at night. But now let's look at one of the most important aspects of any family SUV, boot space.
The boot is, as you'd expect, large. With all 7 or 6 seats in place, it provides up to 338 litres VDA. Or, with the third row folded, electrically or manually operated depending on spec, that climbs to 908 litres. Massive, and there's even some underfloor storage. Obviously, there's even more space if you fold down the middle row.
Inside is really rather premium. I'll admit to not being the biggest fan of Ioniq interiors, but they've moved the game forward quite significantly with the 9. I love this new screen, 2 separate 12-inch displays, one for the driver, one for your infotainment in a curved kind of orientation. That's lovely. You'll also be able to download new features onto the screens to customize the look and feel, and also to download new patterns for that light bar that we don't get, which is nice. On top of that, the actual material quality in here looks fantastic. Look at this dashboard. It's got this really nice ambient lighting. That dashboard trim looks absolutely fantastic. And there's lots of little details which I find really fascinating. Of course, we've got the 4 pixels on the steering wheel which show an indication of how much battery charge you have. You've also got pixels in the seats, pixels just here on the wireless charging pad, which help grip your phone in place. And speaking of your phone, if your phone's filthy, then it's also got this special compartment down here for you to chuck your bits in, close it up, push that button, and it uses UV rays to clean the filth off your sunglasses, your mobile phones, or your gloves. That's a nice touch. Oh look, I've also found even more pixel detailing just here on the drive mode selector. It's everywhere. It's really, really cool. And then speaking of cool, you've also got this compartment here which moves forward and backward for some strange reason. I guess it adds a bit of flexibility so you can move across the front there or move it out of the way, your passengers in the rear. It gives you lots of storage space up top and also in the back just there. I think I would have preferred one big storage space, but the fact it gives you extra flexibility is pretty cool. You've also got loads of 100-watt USB-C chargers. Yeah, it's just a nice place. Apart from one thing, if you go for these cameras instead of proper door mirrors, you get these ridiculous looking interior screens, which for me just look a bit pants. But apart from that, interior, sensational. The Ioniq 9 has a 3.13 meter long wheelbase, and that means you get an amazing amount of leg room. Look at this, yeah? That is a tremendous amount of space for my poor knees, and also loads of foot space underneath the seat in front. What it means is you can get really comfortable back here. Headroom is decent as well, and that's despite the fact that it's got this panoramic glass sunroof. You're probably asking yourself, Rory, why are you swiveling around like that? Why are your feet dangling out the door of a Hyundai Ioniq 9? And that's because this car has a variety of seating options. Right now, I'm in the 2+2+2. You can also get a bench seat in the middle, but if you go for these revolving seats, then they let you kind of swivel around. And that's ideal if you got a child seat because it makes it easier to load, but it also gives you the flexibility to do things like this, where you can actually turn the seat completely around and face the people in front of you, or behind you rather. I don't know why you want to do that, but I guess it makes it a more intimate place to hang out if you want to stare into the eyes of the people in the third row. Speaking of which, that third row, very spacious.
And this isn't just a car for occasionally carrying up to 7 passengers. There's enough room for people to sit there on a regular basis. There's plenty of leg and headroom for me, and I'm 5'11", and it doesn't feel in the slightest bit claustrophobic thanks to large rear windows and the aforementioned panoramic glass roof, even if it doesn't quite stretch all the way back to the third row.
Now, efficiency. Can an electric car this big ever be truly efficient? Well, Hyundai say yes, actually, and that's down to the fact that it's very slippery through the air. It has a drag coefficient of just 0.259, which, believe it or not, is better than the original Prius, despite its size. And when you combine that slipperiness with the enormous battery pack, which is 110.3 kilowatt hours, and if this were to go on sale right now in the UK, it would have the largest battery of all EVs, well then you'd get a really good range of 385 miles. Now, in terms of charging, it has 11 kilowatt onboard AC charging, and it will DC rapid charge at somewhere between 230 and 240. Hyundai won't quite confirm where it sits in that range, but when you plug it in to a 350 kilowatt charger, it will go from 10 to 80% in around 24 minutes. Not bad. Performance should be pretty good. There'll be 3 versions: a long-range rear-wheel drive, a long-range all-wheel drive, and a performance. The performance version should be the most fun. That will come with 2 motors, one at the front, one at the back, each with 217 horsepower. That's going to be good for a 0 to 62 time of 5.2 seconds and a top speed of 124 miles an hour. But more interestingly, the towing capacity will be very good. This thing will apparently tow a total of 2.5 tons, which is even better than a Volvo XC90.
Pricing is yet to be confirmed, but expect it to be competitive with the likes of the EV9, which starts from around £65,000. It will go on sale in the US in early 2025 before being rolled out to other markets soon after.
So, the 9, the latest addition to the Ioniq arsenal. Pleasantly intrigued by this one. Is it as good as the Kia EV9? Not sure, but all signs are looking extremely positive. Very, very practical, very nice to look at, and also with great range on paper. The only thing left to do right now is for you guys to let me know what you think in the comments down below, and for me to go away and drive the thing in prototype form in the Mojave Desert, which is exactly what I'm gonna do right now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.